what about, I'm sure there are some franchises that we may recognize that are in this stage of growth. Can you tell me some stories about some franchises that you're aware of in this stage of growth?
Well, and that's the interesting part about stage one. These are small companies. These are first to market. These are going to be companies that you don't recognize name yet. Now, all companies were in stage one at one point, right? And then they grow and they evolve, and boom, now we recognize that particular company name. But having been in this industry 20 years, I've seen franchisors start in stage one, and it's a name that nobody's heard of. And within, a handful of years, it's a common name, a brand that we're all talking about. I remember even Great Clips, which now is on every corner that you see, where you can go in and get your haircuts. And where it was small and no one heard of Great Clips. So that's the thing about a stage one company, is you're not going to, as a prospective franchisee, go, hey, I want to own one of those. You're not even going to have heard of that at this point. So you're going to have to be introduced, or you're going to have your ear to the ground looking for stage one companies and these kinds of opportunities. And trust me, Bonnie, someone who's wired as a stage one entrepreneurial franchisee is always looking for stage one companies to get involved with, because they know they can work in their local marketplace and grow market share, and that there's a lot of benefits for coming early in, being an early adopter.
Do you find that franchisees that are the stage one type franchisee may often own more than one franchise that are stage one franchises?
More than one location often, yes. In fact, most early franchisees will negotiate regional development opportunities where they literally purchase a state or several zip codes, and then they will sell pieces of their territory to other franchisees. So it's very common for someone wired as an early stage franchisee to buy multiple unit opportunities and regional opportunities, and the franchisor exploits that. They love that they can quickly, with a single contract, with a single relationship, have locations popping up over a short period of time with someone who has that level of commitment and that level of assertiveness and ability to execute. So absolutely, it's not uncommon to have several locations.
So you've got a franchisor, and they're in this early stage of growth. Is there some advice that you would give them about how to proceed?
Yes, I think there would be several pieces of advice I would recommend to stage one franchisor. One, never pretend you're anything but that. So often I have seen franchisors put out to the public that they are further along in their evolution, claiming they have systems in place, training in place, support in place, things tested, when indeed that may not be fully true. So be bold, be confident that you are a stage one franchisor, and as a stage one franchisor, you're going to have bumps, and you're going to have benefits, and you're going to have detriments. But by being honest and straightforward, you're going to attract a stage one franchisee, someone who says, wow, I'm not the idea guy. I mean, think about this. There are people that come up with the ideas, and there are people who take that idea and they know how to exploit it. That's the kind of relationship you want. So by being straightforward and saying we're a stage one company, which means there are going to be problems, and we're going to be evolving, it will allow you to attract the right franchisee that likes things that are dynamic and can take what is there and begin to create some legs underneath it. So that would be probably the biggest recommendation I would offer. And then the second thing is as quickly as you can, get clear on the future of the culture that you want to create. Have a basis of a mission statement, of values that you are going to live your business by, and recruit and sell only to prospective franchisees that share that culture, that share those values, because you want these guys to be with you for a while. So the second thing I would recommend for franchisors is to be clear on your values and your culture, not just today, but where you want it to evolve to, and recruit only franchisees that share your values, share your mission, because you want these franchisees to be with you long term. So those are the two biggest things. Be clear where you are. Don't pretend you're further along, because you're going to find the right franchisee if you're clear. And secondly, be clear on your values and your culture, and recruit only towards those individuals that are a good fit. So, and then there's a third recommendation I would give franchisors. It's not uncommon, and I can tell you horror stories of franchisors who have negotiated agreements that were so liberal and so loosey-goosey that a couple of years later they wanted out of that particular agreement, where they give away too much territory, or the royalty is so low, or the buy-in price is so low that the cost of having that franchisee is way too high. So be cautious that in your zeal you don't negotiate agreements that are too liberal on behalf of the franchisee. Yes, you need that franchisee, but they also need you. So hold firm on what you bring to the table, and don't negotiate agreements that just flat out are not a win-win.
I think that's really sound advice. And I actually know of an individual who basically lost their business over that. So that's really good advice. Now, putting the shoe on the other foot, you gave advice to the franchisor. What about the franchisee? Do we have some advice for them too?
The franchisee, I think it's a similar set of advice. If you are looking strictly for something that you can buy, build to a certain extent, and then exit, state clearly that that's what your intentions are to the franchisor. They will understand, and they will help you create an exit strategy. If, on the other hand, you want to build something that's long-term with a franchisor, select that franchisor based on exploiting your core competencies and that you share their culture and their values, and you become a good fit. So a similar set of recommendations. And thirdly, don't overextend yourself. It's common when you see an opportunity with the stage one franchisor to see all blue skies and make promises that you may not be able to fulfill, that you can open 10 locations in a period of time, and you sign an agreement that suggests that you can do that when indeed your budget might allow 3. So be cautious when making commitments, that these are commitments that you can fulfill. Better to underpromise and overdeliver.
Hey, absolutely. Absolutely. That's also very good advice. Now, there's another group of people that Zorakle deals with frequently, franchise brokers. What do you suggest for them?
Our franchise brokers are in a unique situation where they're working with prospective franchisees, either locally or internationally, and they'll get a wide variety of prospective franchisees. So in that situation, take some time to get to know this prospective franchisee. Obviously, the SpotOn profile will help you understand what stage of growth this particular prospective franchisee will fit in best. Don't ignore that. Don't put your prospective franchisee in a stage 4 company if they need to be in a stage 2 company. He won't be happy. He won't ramp up well. He will validate poorly, and that will shine back on the advice that the broker has given. So take some time to truly understand who this prospective franchisee is, in particular as it relates to what stage of business he's going to fit in well. And then, equally as important, get to know your franchisor and get to know your franchise system and what makes them tick, and ask what stage of growth they're in, or use our tool to figure out what stage of growth that franchisor is in. And when presenting opportunity A versus opportunity B versus opportunity C, let your prospective franchisee know you selected these three concepts based on, in large part, on the stage of evolution. And let that prospective franchisee know, here are the challenges with stage one. You're going to go in, Mr. and Mrs. prospective franchisee, and you're going to look at the stage one company. It's dynamic. It doesn't have but a half a dozen franchisees at this point. It's not validated as strongly as some of the other systems. But the reason I'm choosing this is because of these opportunities and the way you're wired to be able to take advantage of that. But don't be expecting any hand-holding. Don't be expecting a ton of support and training or even systems. Here's what you can anticipate. So again, it's managing the expectations of the franchisee, educating that franchisee on why you selected these 2 or 3 or 4 franchise concepts to present or for them to do their due diligence.
Basically, what I hear is that regardless whether you're a franchisor looking for a franchisee or a franchisee looking for the right franchise opportunity, or a broker who helps franchisees connect with the right opportunity, or the opposite, the franchisor connect to the right franchisee, regardless of which situation you're in, using the Zorakle profile is the ideal tool to make sure that that's going to be a good fit.
It's so important to understand the candidate, the franchisor. We all want, the franchisor wants to succeed, wants to provide for his or her family, wants to leave a legacy, wants to contribute, wants a good challenge. So they need to be in the right stage of growth to do that, in the right franchise system. And a franchisor wants a franchisee that's going to retain well, ramp up well, validate well, perform well. And as we've talked about before, Bonnie, it's all about compatibility. It's all about compatibility and complementary core competencies. And so the more we dig in and understand and do our due diligence, who is this franchise system, who is this franchisee, do the two belong together, the better it is for everybody.
And the Zorakle profile assessment makes that matchmaking quite a bit easier than it would be otherwise.
Yes. It lets the prospective franchisee know on their reports the stages of growth of companies that they would fit in well, and it lets the franchisor know what stage of growth they're on and which franchisees they're looking for. And, of course, the broker, same way, will get reports that lets them know here's a prospective franchisee that would fit well within a stage 2 and stage 3 company, or whatever is appropriate for that prospective franchisee.